right, hello. Let me try to get my screen saved here.
Perfect.
Okay, do you see a big picture of me? Hope so.
I just see the it's like the so it shows slide 9 of 71, so I don't think it's
Oh, rats, that's the wrong one. Let's see if I
yeah.
show the right. I change screens. Here we go. How about that? Does that change?
No, it's still showing the same one.
Ah, here we go. There we go.
Perfect. There you go.
That
Thank
should be the
you.
one.
You got
Okay.
it.
So as you can tell, I'm not very technical, which is perfect to do this presentation. Oops, get down here to another. So I've been doing this as I've been a user starting back in 1989. Yes, that's right, 89. And I started consulting in the mid 90s, and I've been doing this for quite a long time. So when I laugh, because UDOs are everything I ever wanted as a user, never had. Now you have them. Basically, because I am not technical, some of the things you're going to hear are going to be like, wow, yeah, he really likes this stuff. I do. These are all the things that you can do without help from somebody else, because as you may know, sometimes getting someone to do a development or something is not always easy or fun. So let's talk about what is this UDO stuff, or UX1. So what is UX1? This is the UX1 is the modern interface design that includes a lot of applications that you can do as a citizen developer to let you be more efficient in your day-to-day job with your tasks and your screens that you use all day. You're going to hear the words alert, analyze, and act, the paradigm that Oracle's been trying to push out with some of these transactions quite a bit. And it's really true too. When we get into some of the composed pages, the way they're set up, the ones that are pre-built, it actually has your, the watch list to help you, alert and analyze. There's a bunch of reports in the middle, and then you have the Springboards to act on them. So we're going to see that, and we're going to talk about that along the way, and a lot of other things as well. So, but what the good part about this is it's code-free framework, meaning you don't need to have someone develop something to get what you want, which again, as a user, made me very, very happy when I could get something like that. So UX1, what are the prerequisites? The line Oracle is going to tell you right now is 9.2 update 1 or later. Yes, some of these have been dribbling in for the last couple applications and tools releases anyway. Some go back to early 9, but they really are making them a little better every time. And now they've kind of packaged them all into, I'm air quoting UX1, okay? So do you need server requirements? Not really. The only one you really need is if you are doing UX1, on one view reporting, and you've got that license, you probably need the AIS server to do some of those. So what comes in UX1? At a glance, out of the box, without doing anything except activating these things, you have 133 composite pages, 340 E1 pages, 650 pre-built queries, 333 watch lists that are already pre-built, 94 cafe ones, 147 grids, almost 1,700 user-defined objects in total, and 54 pre-built roles, or 52 pre-built roles. Now, we're going to talk about those, and those are really cool. That's what you're seeing in front of you on that little picture right there. That's one of the pre-built roles that come rolling right out of the system without anything else. And as you can see, there's the watch lists, and you've got the reporting in the middle and the Springboards. We'll talk more about that. It's pretty neat stuff. So what is the user-defined object? A lot of these things we've already played with to a certain degree. I mean, some of you have done grids for a long time. You've done grid queries and grids of queries. These are things that you've done as a citizen developer. All these things we're going to talk about in a few minutes are all considered UDOs, and they all have the ability to be created individually, shared, approved and shared if you've got the security to do it. And the nice thing is the reduced cost that you're going to have by using these is several different levels. First of all, a lot of these you may have had to, again, you have a developer add a field to a screen. And if, hopefully everything was done with a 55, but not always, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes custom's not custom, it's just, I'm just adding this field, it's no big deal. Well, guess what? Every time that program comes up when you do a tools upgrade or a application upgrade, you may have to redo that programming. The nice thing with UDO is that once you have it as a UDO, it remains a UDO. It does not have to be reset every time you do an upgrade. And the nice thing also about that is there's actually a job, if you're on 9.1 or 9.2 and you haven't utilized some of this stuff, a job called decustomizer. I don't know if the actual number of it, but it's out there. I'll get it for you if you need it. The decustomizer pretty much looks at all your customizations and will literally tell you this one can be a UDO. You can replace this with that. And that is a pretty big thing to do right now. So, going forward, again, the way these tools releases are being rolled out and application updates, you're going to be wanting to do this on a pretty regular basis. No longer is it like 2 years between, updates. You're probably going to get to the point where at some point you're doing it every 6 months or every quarter, because that seems how they're rolling out, and they're bringing some pretty good stuff. So just something to consider. But your users can now actually define the best business process and make them work together very simply by themselves. They don't have to have extra help. This is what we're going to talk about today. The UDO types we're going to refer to: queries, the grid formats, composite application framework, that's CafeOne, one of my favorite things, classic EnterpriseOne pages, composed pages, images, personal forms, form extensions, OneView reports, and watch lists. So let's start off with queries, because queries probably, if you guys are in 9.1, you probably know about these a little bit. Queries are pretty nice. You can actually go to an inquiry screen, for instance, and you can actually set up, in essence, what you could do with a query by example, and then some. Query by example, you may want to see, I'll use sales orders, for instance, and may want to see all my SOs in branch plant 30. Well, that's great. You can do that, but you can also set that up as a query. It can also say, I want to see all my SOs, my SBs, my SIs, and my STs, as well. So you don't have to have an individual query or do individual things and kind of piece it together. This query can actually do a range, can do an in a list, not in a list, stuff like that. So you can actually do a lot of the nice query by example things with wildcards and multiple things. And the nice thing is you can do multiples of these. And as I try to tell all my clients that would listen, the nice thing about queries is if you've got something you need to have an answer for when you first walk in the morning, or someone calls you up and you need to quickly have an answer, have these queries pre-built. You can actually go click them, have the information at your hand in a heartbeat. It's so much nicer to actually do that than say, well, let me run a report, hold on, and all that stuff. You don't need to do that. If you have this stuff set up, it can be done and ready to go. And the other important part about queries is you need a query to do a watch list. So what's it look like to do a query? How hard is it? It's pretty simple. If you're looking at, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but as you go up here and you click this little query icon right here, it opens up this box. And once you do that, it also turns on that screen that you're on, every little plus mark in all these fields. These are all places where you can do QBE in essence, or you can put that, when you click on it, it adds them to this additional fields where you can say equals to, less than, greater than, not equal to, in a list, all that stuff. So it's nice to be able to put all that together and build it. You can also say you want to run that automatically when you come to the screen. It'll come up as a default. And you can clear form when selected as well. So it can do whatever you want it to do, and it's very nice. So you've got your queries. Now we want to create a watch list out of this. What's a watch list and why is it good? Well, a watch list takes your query and calculates certain things, certain events. So if let's say I'm looking for all my sales orders that are back ordered or are in credit limit, it can actually calculate these on a time basis, whatever you say. If you want every 10 minutes, every hour, every 5 hours, it'll actually go out and run the query, and if it updates, it'll give you a warning or a critical message. that these things have reached that level that you're wanting to know. So if I've got five, say I've got 5 things on credit hold, I want to know. It gives me a warning. If I've got 10, it's critical. I need to get somebody on that, right? So you can see it, and we'll see the watch list in a moment when it pops up. But you can use these standalone using, if you look at your screen, you've probably got a little flag on top of your screen with your other stuff. That opens up your watch list. If you're using a composed page, you'll probably have a watch list group in here. And we'll show you that in a minute. So how do you create a watch list? Pretty easy. Remember that query we just had? Well, I called one branch 27 open. That's what query I'm using down here. But I'm going to give it a name. What is it? My warning threshold. If I got 1 out, if I got 2 out here, I want it to be giving me a critical warning. I want it to refresh every 60 minutes. And I want to bring back a maximum of 200 records. Oops, sorry, 200 records. Because really, it doesn't really matter how many I bring back. If I've got a 2 limit threshold, I just want to go to them anyway. So it's all good. So if you look down here, this is all the information I have on my query. In this query, I actually do not have this last one. I changed it. The backorder quantity is not equal 0. But I've actually, anything that's less than 600, I want to see it. So that was part of my watch list. Okay, form personalization. Again, we'll get to the watch list. We'll show these in a second. I just want to go through all these first, then we'll go and do a little demo, okay? So under the personalization, form personalization, this is one that I also love very much. You know, you can actually take a lot of these forms that have a lot of fields you just don't need, or, you know, everybody will need them, but, you know, you personally don't need them. You don't need to have what's a customer item number. You don't need to have, you know, you're not doing, say you're not doing advanced pricing or doing some sort of currency, you can get rid of the currency field, all that stuff. So it lets you take things out. It lets you take things from a different tab on the same screen and move it over. So it lets you do a lot of different things, and you can consolidate these things, like even on this screen right here where we have a lot of real estate that's not really used to its advantage. Maybe you can go and squish them all together a little better, open up the field a little. It allows you to do that. Not only for form personalization, it lets you do things for extended form as well. Oops, back down one. There we go. Form extensions. What's a form extension? Well, you can take things away from a form, but you can add things to a form too. If things are in your grid or in your work business view, you should be able to take a field from there and bring it over to your grid or your header. Now, what does that mean? Give me an example, Dan. All right, well, let's say I'm in a sales order, and I've during the course of my shipment of this order, I've connected whether it's a tracking number or maybe a user that actually did the actual boxing of the item, and I'm putting something in my user reserve field. You know, we all like to use user reserve fields. They're great for something, right? Whatever, no matter what it is, hey, I got a user reserve field for that, or user reserve date. So I have that. The problem is it's never visible on the screen. I have to go to the data browser or something and try to get that out, or run a report that has it. Not anymore. Without customization, you can go using the form extension, you can actually put things on that field. So I can go out and find my user reserve field, put it on the grid, and then I have it. So it's there, and there's no customization, no developers were involved in the fixing of this problem, and it works out pretty well. These are things that will make life much easier to grab. So you have the information, again, you have it at your ready, and if things change, you can change it. You need the date as well, great, add it. So kind of neat stuff. And it's like, that's always there. Grid customization is a favorite. Also, it's been a favorite for years. People love it. You know, because you really don't need all the 120 columns on your sales order. You need, you know, 12 or 13, right? Again, using the same scenario, if someone calls you on the phone, they want to know shipping information. Maybe you have a different grid for shipping information. Maybe you have a different grid for things that are in quotes. You know, whatever the case may be, you can actually have a grid that fits the form that you need. One of the other things that's really nice is you can do a list view that lets you scrunch them all together on top of each other. And that is something that will come in really handy when you're doing some of the cafe ones and you need to get a lot of information, but in a small area. You know, so you're going to take a whole big screen that you have and probably shrink it half the size so you can put another screen next to it or something. So that's a nice way to be able to do that. And we'll show you some of that as well. I've got a little plan for that. So again, here's your table view that's normal, like regular, but you can also do the list view, which again puts things on top of each other and you can stack the information up. And this is really handy. And that also, when you're doing your form personalization, you can actually take that whole screen and like all that stuff on the top header area up here, maybe you want to squish that together. So at least, you know, you can actually break it off easy, and you can still do all your inquiries within that. So things to think of, things that work really well to do. Let's talk about the compose pages. Now that you've got all this stuff on your internal documents going on, what about your internal programs? What about, how are you going to put it all together? Well, the compose page is one of the coolest things that JD Edwards or Oracle has added in quite a while. It's a nice place to put anything and everything on your menu. We're kind of replacing the menus as you know them currently, right? So compose page lets you take an EnterpriseOne page and just put that in there. Put an EnterpriseOne document in there. Put a one view report. Put classic pages. Put these designer pages. Put all these things that you can do anything you want on these, as long as you can fit it in the page. You know, with the advent of big monitors, it sure works out pretty well. So it's pretty nifty. Depending on your permissions, you can either create or add or view or share, depending. Generally, most people can create and view, and sharing is probably got to go through some sort of security or some gatekeeper. And also a thing that I put on this bottom one, I want people to notice as well. I don't know if you've used the Work Center lately, but the Work Center has always kind of been a pain to clear out and to do things. There's a thing called My Work List that comes. It's a composed page that comes together automatically out there for you, and it has your Work Center out here, and it lets you sort and search things based on job number. So if I just want to see a job that, see a job that we're running out there that is just for, you know, for just some check that we can get rid of a whole bunch of them at the same time. Like say I've got invoices that run every night. I want to pull up all the invoices and delete them out of the Work Center because everything's caught up. You can do that and just delete those. So you can, it's very nice, very cool. And you can actually click on the little button at the bottom and take you to the old Work Center too. So it's kind of neat. Okay, let's talk about the compose page. Here's our designer pane. Some of these you've probably seen before. It's your it's a way to lay your tasks in an order that makes sense to the user that's using them. Sometimes people have only a few things that they do in JD Edwards. I'm going to say like a packer, someone who's packing boxes. They may have to look up something. They have to ship confirm, and maybe they have to do, you know, kick off the invoice. Maybe they have the 3 tasks out there that they're doing, and that's it, and that's that. That's what you give them. Here's task 1, 2, and 3, or you can do multiple things. And some of these are pretty cool and very easy to add. So we'll add one of those as well when we get up there. The one view report on the compose page. Well, if you've got the licensed one view reporting, you can do a little bit more. You know, you can drill down, you can use BI Publisher for output, and you can actually print it off. If you do not have a licensed OVR, you can still use the reports that are created out there, but you're a little bit more limited in your ability to print them out or see things out of it. Okay, so out of this, you know, that's kind of what we just talked about. The EnterpriseOne reports, you have a restricted license, you're kind of limited on what you can do. You can still see a lot of information, you can drill into it a bit, but you know, as far as printing it, you can't do that necessarily. Okay, the URL. I love having the URL, having the ability to have a supplier's website available to you while you're in, let's say you're in procurement, you're out there, you're doing your thing, you got in this case, the Grainger website right next to you. You can look it up, look things up, put them in your order. You don't have to go to 2 different places, no jumping back and forth between, you know, tabbing between the website and JD Edwards. You can do it all at the same place. It's very cool, very easy. It's surprisingly easy once you do it correctly. Again, down here, I put down 2 things here. You have to have your website out here with the little backslash here. Without that backslash at the end, it'll make you crazy like I am. Of course, not reading directions. I try to do things without doing that. So I thought I'd share my pain with everybody. Put the little slash at the end or else it won't work. So this is my lesson learned, right? Classic pages. I mean, I think you've seen the classic pages before. And they were not always that simple to add, but if you've got them, you can still use them, not a problem. You can add them right in the compose page as well. Watch list pane. One of the things you can add, again, you have all these watch lists, but you can actually add a pane on your compose page with all the watch lists you have as well, or some that you didn't create even, maybe some others that you have access to. You can add them. And you can follow them as if you have authority to do so. You can drill into them, and it'll take you right to the place wherever these queries came from. It's very, very nice, and it really kind of visibility there is really helpful, especially now when a lot of people aren't all in the same place at the same time. So, okay, Springboard panes. If these look familiar, like they're kind of like a menu, you're right. That's exactly what they are. If you have gone to the pain of creating all these custom menus in your navigator prior to or whatever release you're in right now, they don't go to waste. You can still use them. You can still use your task view or task number that you have on your original environment, and you add it to your Springboard, and you can put it right. It'll put it right in there automatically. So it's we'll add one of those as well. It's very simple, and it's just, so you don't lose what you have already. It just gives you a little nicer way to see it. And the nice thing is when you click on one of these, you have the ability, you'll still see this whole Springboard above it as well. So it's all available, and we'll show you that. It's kind of nifty. Okay, so role-based landing pages. What are these things? Well, these are one of the coolest things. They're ones that you go, wow, look at all that stuff. And it's not that big of a deal. It's really the same stuff you'd always use. You just talked about watch lists. You might have had those up in your little flag up top. You still have your menu things, and you have some reports. But there's a lot of really good information in these things. So the way they're set up is really based for roles. So if don't have roles set up, you might be able to use these as kind of your guide and kind of say, yep, this is what we want to use for that. You can also take some of this information from these role-based pages and actually create different role-based pages using some of the same stuff or mix and match. So there are 52 that are already pre-built. And as you can see, it's using the alert, analyze, act, sort of thing. You've got your alert over here for your watch list. You've got your analyze for all your reporting and stuff, and you've got your act over here. And sometimes you can just click on some of these watch lists and go right into the act right away, because some of these are probably some of these. So it's very nifty and very cool, and it's a nice, easy way to go. And as you can see, you can have multiple. These are all composed pages up above here on the blue little grid. So all these little guys on top are all different pages that are set up out there. And we're going to go through some of that as well. So what is Cafe One? If you don't know what Cafe One is, I'll tell you, it's probably the one thing that most people probably takes the longest to set up, I think, because they want to do it right. But it's probably one of the biggest bang for your buck. The ability to have a screen and call another program interactively and it all be on the same screen is fantastic. So what I mean by that is let's say I'm looking at an address book record, and I'm handling customers. I've got customers on this address book record, and I've got a map of where their location is down to the street level because I'm using Google Maps. I've got a customer master open up, or I've got maybe what their open AR is, and I can see all that when they've called up on the phone and they say, hey, it's Joe Blow from so-and-so company. I'm typing in so-and-so company, boom, I've got all their information at hand, or I've got their maybe their open orders. I have whatever the case may be. You can do all those things, and I've had one client that was actually had 10 different Cafe Ones simultaneously running, and it was really cool because they could answer any question. They just jump over to that screen and pull up, they answer the phone call for this or answer an email for that. Very quick, very fast, And it's surprising what you can put together. It's pretty neat. So we've got a bunch of other miscellaneous runtime features I'm going to talk about quickly. I'll try to show you some of these when we get in our demo. Drop-down box. This is pretty cool. It's a little more intuitive than the list that comes up when you click on a UDC field. You can actually start typing in a letter and it brings up only those things. It kind of brings up, it's not like it pops up everything. So if you've got 200 things, it's not going to try to go through 200. You can use the type ahead feature to filter drop-down list as well. It's pretty cool. We're going to show you that. I'm definitely going to show you that. I've got that on my list of things. It's pretty neat. And you do have to authorize this, so it has to be set up, and the security has to be set up to allow it. Auto suggest is very similar to that, and you'll see that as well. UDO manager. UDO manager is pretty cool. This is a important thing if you want to share UDO. So I've got, whether it's a grid, whether it's a CafeOne or composite page, it has to go through this thing. It has to be blessed. It's sort of like a project you have to go through, and it is what it is. You can't share it unless it's been through certain criteria. And there's an web object management workbench. And it is the same, pretty much the same as your regular OMW, but it's on the web now. Again, projects have to be pulled through here. It's also part of that. I think you can still do both, but this should be, I think it's fully, I think this fully works. I'll have to double check on that, but I think it fully works, just like the OMW on the FAT client. Okay, so this is questions and demo. Really, there's not going to be questions yet. It's going to be a demo, but if you have any questions while I'm going through this, feel free to ask them. And if Brooke, if you want to call them out as I'm going, because I'm going to try to go through some of these and kind of show everybody what's what without being too bad. So I'll see if I can get this through. Okay, so I've got a few things here. I'm going to pull up one more thing over here. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a composite page I started. I've used this right now because I want to share some things with you as I go through some. So I've got a version of customer service inquiry out here, and it comes out and it's just your basic regular. There's nothing special about it yet, but I want to do some grid stuff. So if I come in here to look at this, I've got a couple things here. I've got I want to do something that shows my invoices. So I've got an invoice out here, so I can do some quick checking because I want to do some comparing, and I'm going to do a UX1 or a CafeOne as well. So I can do certain jobs. Let's look for. Oops, oh my gosh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Whoopsie. So you're going to find I'm a click happy guy, so you're going to find that happens. So I've got some queries set up out here. So I want to look up just some orders from branch plant 27. Okay, so it's got some stuff, and if you notice, none of these things are invoiced because they're just not. I just put them all in here. They're all in here. So I'm not going to have anything there, but I've got other things in this grid format as well. I've got one that's called scrunched. Well, I wanted to get these things together because I'm going to do a CafeOne with this down the road. So what I did is I took the same information and I put it all what I need in here. So I've got the item, the quantity, and what is the invoice number. As you can tell, there's nothing there yet because I didn't get there yet. So we've been able to change these, and this is really no different when you look like anything else. The only thing different here is instead of a task view, a list view. So if I wanted to create a new one, I can do table view, I can do list view. I don't want scrunch, I want to create a new one. And if I want to do a list view, I can add a field. What field do I want? Do I want just the item, or do I want the item in the description? So this is pretty neat stuff. So you can actually do this, and when I do it, I can also add one. I want to do second item number and the value. If I want to go left, right, I can go right. If I want to go down, I can go down. So let's go right. And I want to do description. And I just want the description. I don't want the value. I don't want the header. I don't need the description of what the description is. And let's go down. So this is kind of neat stuff. I don't know if anyone's ever done this or if it was first time you've seen this or not, but it's very nifty. I'm just going to save these two things. I really didn't do a list view per se, but you can stack them all up. It's pretty nifty and pretty cool. So here's all my stuff. So if I had a second layer, the second row would be there as well. That's very cool. While I'm up here, I'm gonna not. If I don't do this, I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna click search because I love search too. And I didn't have this out there on a thing, but I want to look at an item. This is very interesting. You can do all kinds of searches. What for a 220 here or 2200 I'm going to use. I can do any of these things, but I actually want to see who has what in stock. So I can just click items, and it's going to show me all items that have 2200 in them. So there's a couple with 5s and 3s and stuff. But if I just click this little inquiry, it tells me every branch and every location that has some of these 2200s. I don't know about you, but that's so cool. That's a neat thing. And if I did the same thing using a customer, 4242, for instance, because they're demo, right? And I just hit search wide open, it's going to show me if there's anything in anywhere that has 4242. So somewhere in this item there's 4242, probably the numbers. But I can actually know that it's a customer that I'm looking for. I can actually go into some certain things for that customer, whether I want to see all their invoices, open sales orders, customer master. So if I want to see all their in-view invoices, here's all the stuff for 4242. It's very cool, very fast. You don't have to go into anything. I'm just at the search. I haven't done nothing. So anyway, that's just kind of cool. I wanted to share that with you too, because that's something I always forget to tell people until it's too late. So I want to make sure I got that in. Okay, so also I want to talk about personalized form. So let me go back to putting this as a regular everything. So I want to personalize a form. So how do I do that? Up here on the top, I got personalized form. In a personalized form, it brings up a window and all these little negatives here. So I can actually move and groove and take some of these things away. So I want to get rid of some of this stuff because I don't care about customer item number. I don't care about extended back order quantity. I don't care about as of currency. I can go right down, right? I don't care about a lot of this stuff. And branch plant, I do care about that, but I want to move it. I don't like it there. I want to put it somewhere else, maybe. So let's put that over here. Let's put the branch over here with it. This is off kilter. Let's make that together. And let's get rid of that. Okay, so I've done all that. So I made all this stuff here. I want to save it. Call it Dan. Okay, I get rid of this little. Now my grid is very different. My branch plant's over here. Everything's there. So it's the same stuff, just different. So at the same time, now I've done that, and I want to squish this bad boy because we talked about the scrunched one I created already. Now I've taken up a lot of this information here and made it a little bit smaller. So when I have this, when I do a Cafe One, I could actually put the other screen over here and it doesn't take up all this. It's not overlaying each other. So let's do that. So there's a layout out here in this Cafe One. You can create a Cafe One as well, but I'm just going to go right into one that's already created because we're going to run out of time if I keep going. So one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at my branch plant. I'm going to look for branch plant 30, but I want things that are shipped. So I can actually change this to shipped, right? Shipped and branch plant 30, do a find. I've got a bunch of things out here. So we click on that first one is clicked on, and it always brought in that customer 35555, the 3555, and invoice 3600, invoice 3600, and here's all the things on it. So if I go down here and see there's 4 of them, yep. Go down, grab one down here, boom. This one is Creekside, and there's their invoice. Here's all the parts of it. So it's kind of neat. That's a Cafe One. That's what it does. So I've got 2 different things here between customer service and customer ledger. Kind of neat. And some of these you can get really intense, and you can have 2 or 3 things out here, and it's just really cool stuff. So these are things that you will love as you go forward. So let's go to a let's go look at the pages. Let's get out of here. Okay, so we're at compose pages here. So let's to get there and to do some edits. Once this thing comes up, come on. Okay, so I want to do some edits. So I'm going to go up here to my little guy, and I want to do the manage my content, and I want to go to compose pages. So I'm going to click the little guy up here. If you guys have seen this or not, you click on this, and then you can pick and choose anything you want to do here. So let's start at the top. I want to do a designer paid. So I'm going to drag it over to here. What do I want to call this designer pane? You don't have to call it anything if you don't want. I think you have to give it something, maybe something. But I'll put a description if I don't want. But how many columns do I want and how many rows do I want? Say I want 2 columns and 1 row. So what it does is it automatically says, all right, you want to do that? Here's your guys. What do you want to put in here? You can choose what you want. What's your task? What's your application? What's your thing? I want to do a batch version. I want to do I want to do an application. I want to do, make this a little wider. Make it a little wider. Let's just grab 310. What I want to do, I can put whatever I want in there. Change the color. I want to make it red. Now, whatever you want to do. So you can do that. Add a couple of them. You can put a connector between the 2, so it's got a connection. I can do a connection going down to the next row if I want. All these things are great and it connects. So you can add a couple more. You add whatever else you want. I think you get the idea. We'll do R43500. Oops. What, R, Dan? R. So, got the batch version out there. So you can pick the versions, all that stuff. So there's that. Let's add another one. Let's add something else. Let's do a OneView report. Oops. I do that all the time. Yeah, they want you to drop and drag, not click. So I do a OneView report. Come on. Come on. I totally am blaming my internet today because they've been out drilling out in our road for something. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, let's call this. I'll do a OneView report based on 4210, and I'm just going to run it, let it go as is, just bring everything it is. So it's going to bring back a report here based on that. While it's doing that, let's go do another thing. Let's do a URL. See, a clicker. I just got done saying don't do that. Okay. So I want to create this use my Granger again, because I just used them, right? So let's do Granger, and we'll do. So it's going to ask you to verify the URL. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, it'll say nope. So yep, that's good. Say okay. I said okay. Okay, and if I wanted to sign in, I can. Oh, they already signed me in. Good. So I can go through and I can do anything I want there. Let's see what else we can do. I mean, I'm just adding all kinds of stuff here. You probably wouldn't do it this way. I'm just adding stuff to show you it's not that hard to do. Okay, springboard. I'm going to do a springboard over here. Do it right there. So again, these are pretty fast and doing this pretty fast and simple, right? So let's do a springboard. So what task? I'm going to use if you notice, these are the menus, old menus. And you could also use any other task view or something, JDE 00999, whatever the heck the tasks are that your menus have. I'm just using one from procurement. And it's going to put those right here. So all those menus just came in just like that. So if you also see over here, I've got a watch list already set up over here, but I'm going to delete that and I'll start over. How does that watch list work? Well, pretty simple. Do a watch list pane, and I'll do it. See where can I put it here? Where's it going to let me put it? Okay, it's not going to let me put it. Okay, I'm going to call this watch list. I'm going to say test, and I'm going to say empty watch list. Okay, the reason I say empty watch list is because frankly, if I do all watch lists, there's 300 and something of them. I don't think we want to go through and delete all the ones that you don't want. So if you put in an empty, you can actually make this a little wider. Eek. Let's get rid of this thing. It's causing me grief anyway. All right. Come on. Okay. So I click on this little watch list. It's going to say, okay, these are all the watch lists I have out here. Which ones do you want? Well, let's see. I want let's see, a back ordered. Where's back orders? There's back orders. I want to bring up. So these are all, and it's going to notice it always brings it in with stuff already. Oh, it doesn't bring a calculator. It's going to bring a calculator as soon as I click OK. Okay, after all these are said and done, I hit save. And then come back, and it's going to populate my normal page with all the stuff that we asked to do. So if you remember, we just had a simple, this guy and these before. Now I moved them all around, put them in different places. I should refresh them all and bring them all back. So it's not that hard to add these things. As you can see, it took me a few minutes to add this, and that's that. That's as simple as it gets. One other thing I said I was going to show you, when did that come? Before I go, I'm going to quickly show you the Dropbox thing. It only takes a second, so I'll show you that. I'm going to jump into the fast path because it's probably easier for me to find this. 01013. Just a quick idea what I want to talk about. There's these. We changed the state and the country on this program. So if you click on it, like if you remember normal UDCs, it would bring up the whole UDC table. Well, it's only bringing up the Cs, but if it's going to bring up all my other states and countries. So it's kind of cool. It's just a little bit easier to find things than going up the search and then doing a find and all that stuff. It's just done. It's one less click. It's kind of cool. Very simple stuff. And that is about what I got. Let's go back here to bring my guy back up. And we do have one call to action for you guys on the webcast. We are doing an architectural review. We're extending our Collaborate pricing. This is one we had for Collaborate for folks that were on those. Basically, it's a $10,000 architectural review we're going to do for $49.95. It's good till next week, next Friday. If you're interested, give us a buzz, and we'll get it working. We'll mark you down so you'll get the pricing, and then we'll go from there. It's pretty nice. You can come in there. We got a team of folks that come in. They assess your architecture and what you need to do if you want to continue moving on. And it's a one-hit wonder. It's all we need to do. You don't have to do anything else, but it gives you what you want. Okay. So there's that. And other than that, Brooke, I think I am done.
Awesome. All right. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Okay.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for your great presentation. I just want to cover a few follow-up items, and then we'll move on to our question and answer section of our webcast. So our webcast, or actually, sorry, give me 1 second. All right. Okay, we have 2 virtual workshops coming up in this month. On the 14th is a hands-on orchestrator workshop. It is currently only on a wait list because we have limited spots for that one because it is interactive. So we have that. So if you would like to sign up, still do it because we are going to be providing future dates as well. And then we also have a UX1 workshop on May 21st. And you can find all of these registrations on our website. And our webcast today is part of our free ongoing educational webcast series for JD Edwards. And our upcoming webcast for next week is on the screen. All right. All right. Sorry about that. I think my screen's frozen. There we go. Okay. And also make sure you check out erptalk.com, which is a problem-solving forum where you can get your JD Edwards and other enterprise applications questions answered, as well as contribute your answers to other people's questions. And make sure you stay connected with us on social media as well. We post our most up-to-date webcasts, events, industry insights, and a whole lot more than that as well. And we also provide extensive free educational resources for the JD Edwards community, including our weekly educational webcasts, our monthly newsletter called the GSI Insider. And we also have our online resource center where you can access our on-demand webcasts, white papers, and a whole lot more. And we offer on-site and virtual workshops as well. Now, if you would like to sign up for any of what I just told you about, you can go out to our website at getgsi.com, go onto the main menu, go to resources and events, and click the appropriate link on the right-hand side. All right, so I just want to remind you, I just see we have a couple questions, but I wanted to remind everybody you still have time to submit a question, and you can do so through the question panel at the bottom of the GoToWebinar console window. And if you minimize it, just click the left-facing arrow key to redisplay it. All right, Dan. Our first question is from Shelly, and she said, if I want to add a field to a header, do I use form extension or personal forms?
That would be a form extension. Personal forms like to take things away, look at it that way, or move things around. But if you're going to add something, you're probably going to use a form extension. Is it something that's already in the grid or already in the header already, or just something that's in the business view? You're probably going to use an extension. But if it's like on a second page, like a second tab, you could use a personal form. They're kind of the same, but different. They're both personal forms, if you will, but the form extension.
Awesome.
Is usually adding stuff.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Dan. And then our next question is from Martin, and Martin asks, when using form personalization and adding columns, can the added column be used to sequence the grid, like a Cardex sequence by UKID descending?
If it's in a grid, an inquiry grid, sure. I mean, it becomes an active field to do your sequencing on. You should be able to. Yeah, I don't see why not. If it's in the grid, you should be able to do a grid format against it and make it.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
I'm pretty sure. I'm 97.5% sure.
Martin, if you can always reach out to us too if you have any further questions. And Dan, that looks like that's all I have for right
Sweet.
now. Is anything else you want to say?
No, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If I don't know the answer off the top, I will get you the answer. But we also have just so you know, there's a UX1 workshop we're putting together in a couple weeks, the 21st.
Yeah.
We're going to go into all these things in great detail versus what we just saw over the last 35, 40 minutes here. We're going to go in and we're going to break down a lot of things, and hopefully we all can do hands-on and do it all at the same time. So
Awesome.
that's 2 weeks away. I'd like to see, if anyone is really interested, come on in. We'll do it. Okay, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you everybody for your questions today as well. Just as a follow-up from our webcast today, we ask that you complete a short 1-minute survey when you exit. You will be receiving an email with a link to our resource center on our website where you can access a copy of the presentation, and then there is going to be a link to our YouTube page where you can view the recording from today's presentation. And after today, after today's webcast, we will do the drawing for the $25 Amazon gift card. And anyone that attended the entire webcast will be eligible, and we will notify the winner. Now, if you do have any follow-up questions, like Dan said, please feel free to contact us. And let me go back here. There's our contact info@getgsi.com. So if you do have anything that additional you'd like to ask us, just send us an email or give us a call. And again, thank you, Dan, and thank you, everybody, and we hope that you have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.